went to Cuba. Alexa, tell us about your trip, why you went, and then we'll get into some of the details of what you learned on the ground.
Yeah, it was following what happened in Venezuela when Donald Trump and the military captured Nicolas Maduro. We knew that this will impact directly Cuba because of the oil. And we knew that Donald Trump was looking into Cuba because Cuba is the place where most of the dictators have actually learned about how communism works. And Maduro, Chavez, they all went to Cuba to be taught about how implement communism. And so when we went to Miami, there were a lot of people talking about how they would love Cuba to be the next Domino. So it's why we kind of talked about it, but we also talked about the the consequences that we could face going over there. We knew that some YouTubers in the past have been jailed, detained, and also deported with all their camera and equipment seized by the regime for just trying to talk and expose what the regime was doing to their own people. So we were really careful. We went over there with no communication from the world. I had a really old iPhone. I didn't have any social media on this. We were warned as well that in the hotel, they had some microphone, so they were actually listening if someone were talking against the regime. We went over there because we wanted to give a voice to the people, and also we wanted to learn if they wanted a US intervention, if they actually liked Donald Trump or Marco Rubio. And we wanted also to see like in which kind of condition they live under. It's how we went over there. It was really hard when we actually landed. It took almost an hour and a half to just pass through custom. We can see that everything is not working well. They have power outage happening many times during the day. We can see that they are not collecting the garbage. If you walk into the street, it's just pile of garbages just piling up, and there is mice, there is like all kind of flies, and it smells not really great. And you can see like you go into the shop, pharmacy, grocery, it's all empty shelves. And if you see a grocery where there is food, the people were actually telling us that this is not grocery for them. They can't afford that. It's only for people who actually work in hotels, or the people who work for the regime or for the government works jobs. So you can see that for them, it's peanuts. They have almost nothing. They have like literally a booklet where they have like the rations that they can actually get when they go to the grocery. They have the rights to have a certain amount of rice, certain amount of oil, cooking oil. And when you actually walk through those buildings, those buildings are crumbling down. You can see the crack concrete. I was kind of worried. I was like, those buildings will collapse soon. It's really dangerous, but they have no choice. They live all together. There is like a family of like 5, 6 living in one bedroom, all sleeping in the same bed. You go into the kitchen, and what I was able to see is like a mother of 5 cooking a soup, but only with water, bones, and spice, nothing else. Also, they don't use any salt because they say that they can't actually get sick. So they all watch what they are eating, because if they get sick, they go to the hospital, they have a coupon for having medication, but the pharmacy is empty. They can't actually buy the prescription that the hospital is giving them. So it's really sad to see, but it's really revealing what we were able to get from the people, because they didn't know we were filming them, most of them. We hid their faces because we don't want them to go into prison. It's 5 to 10 years in prison, and you can also result to 20 years in prison, because the last protest that they had in 2021 about the COVID protest, almost all of them have been sent to jail. They say that there is many jail in the island, and most of them is political prisoner.
Yeah. Now, it's funny that you talk about the conditions there, because the Canadian left, they love Cuba. They love going there and spending their money there and propping up this evil regime. That's why it was easier for you as a Canadian to go there and be an undercover journalist. You'll probably never be allowed back. I wouldn't send you there. Than an American, because the Americans have an embargo against Cuba, but Canadian tourists go down there all the time and spend their money there and keep this evil regime afloat. And the Canadian left will brag about the universal health care in Cuba, but you're telling me that the residents there are too scared to consume salt, which is not bad for you, by the way, because they're scared of getting sick, because really there is no health care whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. What they are saying is if they get sick, it's almost the end, because first of all, they go to the hospital, but there is no medication. There is no medicine. I went to many different pharmacies, drugstore, and it's all empty shelves, and it's all run by the government. And also you have a prescription. So you have like a piece of paper that say that you can have the amount of pills, but you need to buy it. It's not free. So some of them, they don't have the money to buy the prescription. So it's like an infinite just, loop that you don't have money, but you can't purchase. You dig into the garbages, so they are roaming into the garbages to try to find some stuff that they can reuse at home. And I'm telling you, I passed by those garbages. I was horrified, and I find like really sad, because I look at all the people and they are so tiny. It's not fat people, huh? They look like all skeleton walking into the street. Like they know, they are aware that something is wrong. Why? Because before, the regime was controlling, and is still controlling, media and advertisement, education. But the thing, when social media came, it opened a whole door for these people to see outside what was happening, and another narrative. It's why in Cuba, using social media is really dangerous, because if the regime actually see that you are using social media, they can actually jail you. It's why they all do this like discreetly. They don't actually show to anybody that they are using this. And by the way, also, there is not many religious freedom. What I was actually able to see, I was talking with someone in Quebec who is Cuban himself, and he was talking to me about concentration camp. Obviously, it's not concentration camp, but it was a forced working camp. And I actually did some research on this. And yes, under Fidel Castro, there were forced camp where they were sending homosexual, religious people, to force them to work and to convert them, to remove them from their religious freedom, to try to convert them, if they were homosexual, to try to turn them into being straight. And because it was a threat for the regime. Being religious, you believe on your faith, and you're not believing on the regime. As well as for the homosexual, they didn't believe that it was a rights, and it was unnormal for them. So yes, that existed under Fidel Castro. Today is not, I don't think it exists anymore, but this regime is an oppressive, repressive regime, and everybody was scared to talk, and everybody actually mentioned that they can risk prison, and they were always doing that to us. But the vast majority are for the American to come and intervene. Why? Because they say that if they are not coming and they are not intervening, nothing will change because they can't rise up, they can't do anything. And the fact that there is now power outage, they are scared that now when dark comes, there will be violence and people will actually rise during the dark times. So there is a lot of uncertainties over there. And as I say, they hope for something happening over there because they can't actually survive like that.